Hey Meher, can you see my can you see my
I can hear you, but I think your camera is frozen.
okay, let me
Hmm. I think it's still showing frozen, at least on my end. Yeah. Um, I think it is still frozen. Yeah.
oh okay, I can see the oh okay. That is strange because let me go to slides and see if I come back to it. Maybe that makes a difference.
Okay. Uh,
Okay, now can you oh it's still frozen.
yeah.
This is not good at all. It was I tried it out multiple times. All right, let's get started.
Okay.
Hopefully it will.
Yeah. Might fix itself. Either way, it's nice to have the slides and just like a face there as well.
It's frozen. That's not good. But thank you so much, Meher, for inviting me to present today. And I want to thank you, the whole HS Navigator team, and your parents for putting in the hard work and basically this program for students who are still in high school and they are looking at different careers and getting real training.
Yeah.
So thank you so much.
I want to thank you again too for providing the platform to put the whole program on. That's something like a really big help, and also like this presentation as well. It's like a really great help to us, and for last year and this year, it's like continuing on. It's definitely like thank you a lot for providing this platform, providing us the opportunity to do this too.
Sure, sure. And even though this is a little bit frustrating because I tested it all afternoon and now this is stuck here. But anyway, so thanks everybody for joining us today. And one sec, can I get started?
Yeah, you can get started.
Okay, so I'll just share my slides. I'll just switch off my camera, which is already not working. But thank you, everybody. I see a bunch of hands which are raised. And so, Meher, you're going to be the moderator, right, for today?
Yeah, good moderator.
Maybe, okay. So maybe, we can ask them what their questions are, etc. But, or do you want to do it now?
Um,
Because they are raising their hands.
no, I think we can continue on, and if there's a question come up in the Q&A section, or like with question mark before them, we'll answer them.
Okay. All right, perfect. So this is one of the questions that get asked very often. Are cybersecurity careers future proof? And I remember when I was growing up, people used to say that there are only two things are very certain, which is death and taxes. So if you are born, you're going to pass away sometime, and if you make a single penny, then you'll be there is tax implications. Not on a penny, but you get the idea. If you are earning money, you will have to pay taxes. So I want to now add that there is another aspect, which is death, taxes, and breaches, because they are today. I don't think it's going to go on away anytime soon. And for that reason, when you look at cybersecurity careers, will they be in the same way they are today? No. And probably after 5 years, the role that I will have may be different because of difference in technology, difference in how we respond to that, and the impact that it has on our lives. But let's get started. All right. So this is a disclaimer. I am not talking on behalf of my employers, and this is a volunteer-led effort to contribute to the profession and pay forward the instances of support and kindness that I have received in the course of my career and life. So who am I? I'm Nilofer Tamboli, and I have an MBA in security assurance. I have a lot of certifications which I have gathered during the course of my career. I have certifications in accountancy, information security, IT audit, fraud prevention, internal audit, privacy, and risk quantification. I currently work as a principal at Verizon, and I have 2 patents. I've contributed to books, and I'm the co-founder of Step Up Skills and IC Squared New Jersey chapter, but I'm more active with the Step Up Skill, and I'm the organizer of CISSP and CCSP exam study groups. I also teach a 400 level class at Rutgers University. So if you are considering a career, maybe like we'll meet in class someday, who knows? So basically, today's presentation, I have divided it into 3 parts. First is basic like cybersecurity concepts. Then I'm going to go through a list of breaches. I'm not going to go into a lot of details about those breaches because that takes a long time, but to just show you the impact that it has on people and how you can get started if you decide to choose a career in cybersecurity, or for that matter any career, how to get started and when you are in college, so that you probably are one of the people who get the right internships. You are somebody who gets into um, walks into a job as soon as you are done with your college curriculum. When we talk about cybersecurity concepts, I'm just going to talk about basics and cover basic stuff today. So, what is cybersecurity? Basically, we are trying to protect our network, our assets, means things that have value, from criminals or unauthorized use. Now, what is the difference between a criminal and an unauthorized user? So, so basically, if we have like it's either money or we've got code, we've got a website or something, there are 3 concepts, which is these whatever we have should be kept confidential, in the sense that only people who need to know about it should have access to it or know about it. It means that suppose I have a website, only people who are members can join, like see some content which is after a paywall, and it is available. My website has to be available to people who want to access that website. If it is not available, it means that people cannot reach it. And availability means different things. Available could also mean that it is, you can access it, but availability can also go deeper into you can access it from the right device. Means I don't want anybody to reach my program or my web application from a mobile device. So depends on like what my criteria is. And from the right area means I don't want people who are out of the US or maybe in some particular place, I don't want them to have access to it for whatever, because there are regulations on how people can use my product. So availability means the right person using the right device from the right location. And integrity means that nobody can make changes to it without my permission. That means that nobody unauthorizedly can make any changes. So now, okay, I don't know if you can hear my dog bark, but I'm so sorry. So coming back to this, so data from criminal or unauthorized users. Unauthorized users basically means that suppose Meher is part of, say, HS Navigator, and Meher's got a bunch of other people who he's provided access to. Maybe it is some email marketing system, maybe it is a webinar platform, maybe whatever else that we may be using. So in that case, those users can only operate at that level. Suppose he has made somebody an plain user, then we are not able to, then in that case they are not able to assume the rights of becoming an administrator. So the right person from the right place has access to the right information at the right time. Now when we talk about cybersecurity, we talk about security, a basic concept is, we said yes, okay, fine. So I get that the thing has, like, my assets have to be confidential. I have to provide access to people who I want to provide to from the right place. So that is availability, and then integrity means there can be no unauthorized change. So now when we talk about risk, why are we talking about risk? We are talking about risk because obviously we do not want to protect everything at the same level. Means I have, say, suppose I've got a website, but it's a static website, it just provides information to people. In that case, how much money am I going to spend to protect that, as opposed to an e-commerce website where people can transact business? If suppose there is a breach, then I've got consequences, legal consequences, etc. So depending on my asset, my data which is in the asset, I will decide on what is important. To find out what is important, we have this concept called risk. Means likelihood that something bad will happen to that asset. And then when we are saying, okay, yeah, maybe something bad could happen, but then from where? So that is threat. So any action that can damage an asset becomes a threat. So what are we trying to protect our asset from? So that's a threat. And then vulnerability means a weakness that allows a threat to be realized or to have an effect on the asset. So if there is no vulnerability, means, say, my application is not vulnerable, yes, as of today. New vulnerabilities get introduced as we move along. And another thing that happens is that if there is no vulnerability, then there is the threat actor cannot, like, exploit any vulnerability, and there is no impact. So these are the three basic concepts: risk, threat, and vulnerabilities. Cryptography, I'm not going to go into very much detail. I just want you to know what cryptography is, and you use it knowingly or unknowingly in your daily interactions today. So but I just wanted to bring that concept out here today. So what is cryptography? Basically, there are like a bunch of algorithms, mathematical algorithms, which transform plain text into data, into like plain text or data into a machine readable format, which is ciphertext. And then when it is required, it brings it back. Like suppose today I'm connecting you with you through my browser, my and then once, like, my browser has got a certificate, which is now, like, so what happens is, as soon as the data leaves my browser, it is getting encrypted. So now, like, from my desktop I'm presenting this. Currently, like, it's not encrypted because you can read it, but what happens in between is that my data gets encrypted. That encrypted data is coming to, I'm not getting into a lot of details, that all the intermediaries in between, how it's happening, but your browser is able to then decrypt that data and show you. Why are we encrypting this data end to end? Because we don't want somebody to sniff on our data and maybe, like, unencrypt it and then read it. So and just now we are not doing anything highly confidential. However, think about it: when you're transacting business with, say, PayPal or your bank, you want it encrypted end to end, and now, like, end to end encryption is required, so which is called encryption in motion. If you suppose today lose your laptop or something happens, in that case you want encryption of your hard drive encryption. So you want it encrypted, because then nobody who has unauthorized, who can, like, unauthorizedly open your laptop and have access to the information which is on your laptop. So that is data, encrypting data at rest, data in motion and data at rest. And now, why are we using encryption? So for confidentiality we are encrypting it. Then for non-repudiation, what does non-repudiation basically mean? And we use digital signatures. if suppose I were to send Meher a communication saying, hey Meher, can you send me money, or whatever, if we are working in an organization, by digital signatures, what it does is that Meher can then um, find out that yes, it is me, and it's not somebody third party who's intercepted our communication. And he can say, okay, you did this action, I it was like digitally signed, so it provides Mayor with the assurance that it is us transacting, or it is me asking him to do something. And then data integrity. Now we have cryptographic hashes, we've got digital signatures again, for integrity. And then authentication. So how do I authenticate? So we have what is known as two-way SSL or two-way TLS. We've got mutual authentication, means where I can authorize like your device. Like suppose I'm transacting business with my bank. In that case, the bank wants to know, is it Nilufer's laptop that this she's connecting from? And sometimes, when you use a certain laptop and all of a sudden you are in a public library trying to log into your bank, the bank is not going to allow it, because it says, oh, she usually uses a certain laptop, so I can't like I don't know if it is Nilufer, maybe it is her, or maybe it is somebody who has her credentials, maybe her credentials have been compromised. So knowing the right people, applications and services that you are connecting from. Then what can it be used for? Basically, cryptography is used for storing and retrieving data, that is encryption at rest. Then transmitting data, which is encryption in motion, verifying that the data is received by the person, and then getting access. Okay, so what is this? This is another, I'm just trying to show another concept, which is known as defense in depth, as well as a layered security approach. What this is like a, um, like I'm assuming that, this is a palace, or it is a some kind of a fortress which has got these long big walls. Why? Because people can get further visibility when there is somebody trying to attack them. Then they have a moat, where suppose somebody approaches it, then it is difficult. These moats are like infested with alligators, so it becomes difficult, and it gives the people in living in this fortress time to react to those. So just as this was a very very primitive olden times, but we do something very similar. I'm sure you do the same thing in your house every day. You have a key, you have got like your front door when you come inside. But then once you get in, if you have your valuables, you have a vault, or you have some kind of a drawer where you put your stuff in, then you lock it when you're going out. You got, so, and then suppose it's like your bedroom, if you are going out, you might lock your bedroom. So that is layered approach, in the sense that no single thing, like just in case suppose somebody gets into your house, doesn't mean that everything falls. Because in the same way, like layered approach, just because somebody can come close to this fortress doesn't mean that they're going to be able to get in very easily. So you layer your controls, you layer um, your access to this fortress in a way that people can not easily get access. In the sense, there is no single point of failure. You can't depend on just one thing, saying, oh, I have this moat, maybe I should like lower the fortress walls, maybe I should whatever. So the idea is that you have different steps that a person has to be able to successfully circumvent, and then they get access to my this thing. So when we talk about this layered approach, we talk about complementary controls, we talk about detective controls, we talk about administrative controls. Now what does all that mean? So basically what it means is that you have when suppose you are in college, or maybe even in school, you have a acceptable use policy that you sign, or your parents have to sign, saying, oh, we are providing you with this laptop, you will use it for XYZ and not for whatever else. Do you agree with it? So you accept it? Yes. So this is the first line, policy standards that are in place. Then there are controls, means so there is a firewall in place, in the sense that when you log in, you have to have authentication, the proper credentials to log into your. So these are different layers. Then once you get in, maybe there is a access control list in place which allows you to get access to certain websites or not. So those are different layers. So this is another security concept. When we talk about roles, please, this is a high level understanding. There are very, very different roles, and their roles evolve over time as technology changes. So, say in 5 years, this top level thing will remain the same, the small level changes will be there. Like when we talk about risk, we can, like, suppose, yes, risk is going to be there, but risk roles that go under risk are going to be different. When we talk about a role in audit, so what is audit? We have various, suppose your business is a listed company, in that case we have got certain laws that we have to comply with. So an internal audit team or an external audit team will make sure that we are complying with those roles, with those laws, and they will come in and check us. Then engineering, suppose I am planning to set up um, a system. In that case, my engineering team is going to come up and say, okay, how are we going to, what kind of system design are we going to use? What kind of algorithms are we going to use? What kind of storage are we going to use? How are we going to partition our data? What kind of messaging architecture are we going to use? So that comes under your engineering. There are different ways to slice and dice it. Sometimes people call it red team, blue team. There are different roles that go into it, which is like your security engineer, your bug bounty hunter, your malware analyst. But engineering is a broad title that it goes. Again, legal. So cyber insurance, we have to have, suppose there is a breach, we have to have legal, means attorneys. So doesn't matter what kind of path you take, you will always be able to work in cybersecurity because it is such a broad area. Then threat management. When we talk about threat management, what do we mean? If we don't know what, like if there is no monitoring of what we are doing, then you will not be able to understand if something wrong is going on in your environment. So your threat management team starts with basically understanding, like, okay, so what am I monitoring? Monitoring means what am I watching for, what kind of activities. Then you've got like your security operations center, which monitors your activity continuously 24/7 and then responds to it. Then you've got like your DevSecOps. So basically, you have a team which is, now you've done your engineering, so they're going to do the coding, the programming, etc., and they're going to make continuous change, means add features to it. So that is your DevSecOps. So this diagram, this whole concept is from NIST. NIST is your National Institute of Science and Technology, and basically they come up with different standards and frameworks. So this is the cybersecurity life cycle. In the sense, initially, suppose you want to protect something, but you have to identify your assets. Means when I come in and I say, okay, you want me to come and help you put a program in place. So let us understand what is of value in your environment that people would like to steal from you. So that is your asset, right? Then what is your business environment? Means what do you do on a daily basis? How do you operate? Then governance, risk assessment, supply chain risk, all this goes into identify. Means we want to understand that what your environment looks like, who you have threats from. So that is identify, means this is the first step. Then once we've identified it, we are going to put controls in place so we can basically protect it. Now, identity, access control. What is identity? Means you are issued a iCard or which says, oh, so and so is this person. So that is your identity. iCard, right? Your identity card or some kind of access card. Then when you log in, you're provided user ID and password. That is your access control. Awareness and training, data security, maintenance, different things to protect. So those are controls put in place. Then, okay, fine, we've identified our assets, we've protected them. Very important is detection, because if you don't have any detection, means what is normal traffic, what is abnormal traffic. Continuously you have to monitor it so that you can respond, which comes next. Now, what does respond mean? If I find that something is abnormal, then in that case I have to dig in and say, oh, is it something which is different? Because maybe we are launching something, we are launching a product, and this maybe during that time there is activity. Like suppose somebody detects, like normally I do not log into my work computer at say 3 in the morning. In that case, suppose somebody is logging in, then in that case I hope that somebody will respond and say, okay, why is Nilüfer logged in? What is she trying to do at this hour? Where is she logging in from? Okay, yes, so she logged in with her credentials. She is logging in from her issued laptop, and then she's using some applications that she already does. Not a big deal. Maybe there is some urgent thing that has come up, and this looks normal. However, if somebody is logging in from a different, like say I log in usually from my New Jersey, and somebody is logging in from another country, what happened? So that requires some kind of response, in the sense that why, like it requires, like, okay, so why is this person logging in from here? What are they doing? What are they trying to access? That is your response. And then suppose there is a breach, like, oh, this seems like there is a credential compromise, something has happened. In that case, how do we recover? Or suppose there is a breach, somebody's got into our environment, how do we recover from there? And then again, so that completes the cycle. And I'm going to talk about it in a little more detail. So when we talk about, say, identify, we said, okay, what are we going to do? Understand what like come up with an organizational policy, in the sense, what is important to us, what are our processes that could be under attack, where somebody is trying to take advantage of your regular business policy. Means one of the things could be like, say Meher and I are working together in an environment, we are working together. Can somebody send Meher, who's the CEO, an email and say, like, hey Meher, can you send us this money, our lawyers want it, etc.? Or are there systems in place, processes which will not allow a person to do that, which will say, okay, if you want to transfer any money, there has to be an approval, it has to go through our system, nobody can send emails, and we need to have an invoice for anything. So it depends, like, so this is your identify phase. Now when we talk about protect, you're going to outline your safeguards, your delivery, how are you going to deliver your infrastructure, what kind of identity and access management policies you're going to have, what kind of physical and remote access people will have, can access your environment, security awareness, how are we going to train everybody? Because people, like, suppose somebody gets an email from somebody saying, hey, transfer this money. In that case, how are they going to react to that? We have to have training, we have to do phishing campaigns, and then we have to make sure that if suppose somebody falls for those campaigns, then in that case, how do we react to it? Then the detect function, like how do we discover cybersecurity events? How are we going to say that what is normal, what is abnormal? How are we going to implement and monitor policy monitoring events? Another thing that comes here is that everything does not have to be monitored, because they do not have the same risk. So depending on like what are we trying to monitor. And then respond means how are we going to, now we've monitored, we've come across something, how do we respond to it? And the last one is how do we recover from that. So recovering from our operation, suppose there is a breach, our operations are down, we have say our website has a denial of service attack, means nobody who is trying to do transact business with us can transact business with us. In that case, how do we recover quickly? Do we have a playbook in place? Do we have certain steps in place? Who are the teams who are going to come in and help us get back to our normal operations? So that is all part of our recover thing. Now I'm going to walk you through a bunch of breaches and what impact they had. So I don't know, but does anybody play Xe Infinity? Or this is a game where people can earn cryptocurrency by playing, so by engaging on this platform. And in certain countries, a lot of people made a living doing this, playing this game. Recently there was a breach, and what happened was that one of the engineers who worked for Xe Infinity was approached by a threat organization based in North Korea, which and the way they approached him was that hey, they were offering him a job with another company, and he went through various different levels of interviews, and he was offered like maybe a lot more money than what he was getting currently working with Xe. And so he thought that this is a real organization, this is a great shot, it looks like a challenging job for me. So he continued with those different rounds of interviews. Finally they gave him an offer, and they said, okay, so we are sending you a PDF document, you got to sign it and send it back to us. That PDF document contained malware, and he compromised, and that basically compromised his credentials. They were able to then get further access to different, because he was a developer. A developer means what we call it lateral movement, in the sense they were able to get access to other systems that this person had access to, and compromise them. To cut a long story short, $600 million of cryptocurrency was lost by this platform. It's a lot of money. What went wrong? First thing, the person who was a developer for this company used his company issued laptop. I'm assuming that the company issued him a laptop for personal job hunting activities, which he should not have. If he was not issued, then maybe there was security lack of training, which said you will use it for very limited personal activities. In the sense, if you're trying to look for a job, then this is not like, don't use your device that we've issued you, because you might compromise it in some way. Okay, fine. So he used it. However, he did not go in and check that company out, or whatever limited check that he did was not enough. So they were able to like basically avoid scrutiny. So suppose somebody approaches you, I mean, what are you going to do? Go and do an in-depth investigation from that company, reach out to somebody else that you know or something. But obviously he did not, because that thing seems so great, like, and somebody's approaching me with this superb offer. So social engineering basically. After that, the company did not probably have controls in place to detect malware. So PDF based malware gets scanned, but they did not. Then once it was compromised, the company obviously did not have monitoring in place, or not adequate monitoring in place, which would have alarms, which have set off alarms on what the threat actors were trying to do. So a lot of things went wrong, but they did go wrong, and this company lost $600 million of cryptocurrency. Now the following this thing I'm not going to spend, because we've got 25 minutes left. I'll not go in so much details. I'm just letting you know the different breaches and the impact, so that you can, if you want, you can go in and read in depth about what happened and why things can. So this is an e-commerce website which there was a breach, and 7 million records were lost. Now each record, if suppose 7 million people, like their records were lost, in that case the company ends up providing them with monitoring. You have loss of face, you've got, like, just now there is new law in place which says that within 72 hours you are supposed to inform CISA, which is a government organization, about the breach, etc. Then Colonial Pipeline, this had an impact to the Northeast, in the sense that when Colonial Pipeline was compromised, there was a ransomware, and I'll talk about what ransomware is, because it impacts a lot of people, and not only big companies, but they had to pay a ransom in order to get access to their data again. And what happened was, so Colonial Pipeline provides oil pipeline. They transfer oil from one place to the other, and because oil could not be transferred, what happened was the price of gas at the pump went up by 5 cents in the Northeast, which had a real impact. And that's when people started to figure, like, oh, so what went wrong? And they found that, oh, there was a ransomware attack on Colonial Pipeline. And so Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, via social, like 214 million records were breached because of, like, different by this thing called social larks using Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn. Be very careful. If you don't know somebody, then in that case, be very careful. And even if suppose it is somebody that you think it is, people might be masquerading. They might be using um, their profile, or they could be that maybe that person is account has been compromised. So be very careful before providing any money or sharing any details. Kroger via Exelon. Exelon is a third-party vendor. There was a breach of 1,400,000 records. Parler, which is a social media platform, I mean, most of their records are compromised. Volkswagen and Audi, their record 3.3 million. So remember in the beginning of this thing, we were talking about if cybersecurity is a great career. Why? Because in life there are three certainties, which is death, taxes, and breaches. 80%, but 80% of these breaches were due to social engineering. They were due to system intrusions and basic web application compromises. So let's go through that. What is social engineering? You could have a denial of service attack, you could have phishing, you could have a ransomware attack. So what does social, this is the effect, but what does social engineering mean? Social engineering means when somebody is trying to compromise a person as against a system, and try and get information out of them, which then they can use for compromising something of value. So system intrusions. What type of system intrusions? Malware, ransomware, brute force attacks, and then basic web application compromises, in the sense your email accounts are compromised due to phishing, or maybe web applications are compromised, credential compromise, or maybe there is something more going on. So what are the top countermeasures? First is security awareness and training, in the sense that you have to train people. If you don't know how to be secure, then in that case, you will fall for all kinds of scams that go on. So first is train, test, and repeat. Means just because you get training, it's not enough. From time to time, there will be testing. Means I will send you a phishing email. It's a test email, but I will send it to people in when I say I'm going to send it, I'm not going to send it to you. Means as a company, you have to test your users to understand whether the security awareness training that you did has an impact. They don't click on links, they are not sharing things with people they don't know, they are not like sending money out to people that they don't know. And then you have to do it at a quarterly basis or a annual basis, depending on like the systems that these users have access to. Then we are talking about access control. Access control means managing your credentials, your user ID and your passwords. Have multi-factor authentication. Centralize your access controls. Means, suppose as a company, if I am going to do business with somebody else, then in that case, I'm not going to create new accounts for there. I'm going to say, okay, you have to federate with us. Means use, say, OpenID connects. It's a different technologies that you can use. So you do not have to create like different user ID and password. A person doesn't have to sign in multiple times during the day, which will result in that person writing down their credentials in different places. And securely configure means you have to come up with secure baselines, implement automated session login. Means suppose you log into, say, your um, Facebook account, it's on for a long time, you can transact. However, your bank account, it's very short. So making sure about that. Then endpoint security, having controls on your, like having like virus and anti-malware, data loss prevention kind of controls on your endpoint devices to detect something quickly. Okay, now what exactly is ransomware? So this is something like this or some other variation, and you might see a counter which is going on which says, hey, your laptop has been compromised. There are different messages that might be within 3 days or 72 hours, and there will be like a timer which is going on. If you do not show us, send us like maybe Bitcoin on so and so address, in that case we will like probably delete your data, etc. So how do you prevent it? And ransomware can happen to you, it can happen to a school, and I think in New Jersey there was a school which had a problem. It has happened to colleges, it has happened to Colonial Pipeline. So it is something, so that's why I'm like giving you these details on how to prevent it. Keep your anti-malware and other programs updated. Do not click or open attachments from people you don't know, or even if you know somebody, their account could be compromised. So if suppose somebody is asking you to click on something or open something, be careful. Reach out to them if you know them well, and ignore it if it is not important. Then do not provide personal information when you're answering an email, unsolicited calls, text messages, instant messages. And basically, if somebody says like, oh, your laptop is compromised, I'm calling you from Microsoft, you have to install this, that, the other. No, no, no. Or suppose, don't do that. Then how do you recover? So I put this because I'm assuming like you are in school. Inform your parents. Restore your files. I don't know if you do backups or not, but if you do, like maybe during this course of your HS Navigator, this thing, Meher is going to talk about what backup is and how to restore and backup your device and your data. Then do not pay ransomware, because there is no guarantee that you'll be able to recover your file. Another thing is that people might, these are not like the most ethical people, so they, and for companies, that data has been like sold to other people. So, and then update your programs and antivirus software all the time. Okay, so now we are coming to the third part of our presentation today. So by now you know what cybersecurity is. You're familiar with certain concepts. You know what could go wrong. And now, if you are considering a career in cyber, like, are you interested in receiving scholarship money to go or attend university? And do you want a job which is challenging as well as it pays well? Well, cybersecurity is one of the top 20 fastest growing fields in our country. Cybersecurity professionals earn a median salary of 95,000. It's great salary as soon as you get out of college. Currently, we have this 300 between 300 and 750,000 open positions available in the US. So this is a great opportunity. CyberCorp scholarship for service. Do please go online, explore this option. It is you can receive between 25,000 and $34,000. You get support for undergraduate as well as graduate programs, and you will earn a degree from obviously a good university. And 92 to 95 of graduates then go into government jobs. So check this out. It's a great option available. Now coming back to, as you are in college in the 4 years or 3 years, depending on like what your plan is, you might complete it in 3 years, who knows. But when you are in college, what are some things that you should consider? Internships. So be aware, like when you start, you have to keep in mind that, okay, I have to be organized in my work, I have to complete my assignments on time, I have to, because that, like when you are doing what you need to do and not falling behind in class, in that case your chances of getting selected for internships are much higher than somebody who's struggling in class. If suppose you find somebody is struggling, help them out, but help us make sure that you are doing your stuff first. Then there are certain entry level certifications that you can explore. CompTIA has got Network Plus, Security Plus. Then AWS has got cloud security certifications, cloud certifications. And you can just do like a CCP, which is like cloud practitioner. And by the time you are in college, maybe these will change. But these are the broad topics. So Azure, Google, that is your GCP, and then Azure is from Microsoft, and then you've got your AWS, which is Amazon Web Services. CompTIA's got Network Plus as well as Security Plus certifications. CompTIA gives a discount if you are a student. So make sure that you take advantage of that and be on the lookout for internships. HS Navigator is a great platform, and I'm sure Meher will be able to help you going forward with that. But try and get these certifications in while you can. And what are complementary skills? So these are soft skills. These are skills these are like meta skills which will help you throughout your career. One of them is like, say, lifelong learning. Obviously, the things that you will work on 20 years from now are not there today. So you will have to keep on learning and reinventing your career. Another thing is reading. What do you read? Like white papers, you could be reading RFCs, you could be reading the Verizon DBIR, which is a it's a report which comes out every year annually, which provides you with causes of breach, and it's divided by percentages, etc. These so basically it's a data breach investigation report, DBIR. So by reading that, you are aware of what are the vulnerabilities, why, and if you're going to make it your career, you will need to understand when you have a job interview, even for your internship, you are aware of what is the top 3 risks which are impacting a security environment. Then research writing and presenting. These are skills you will require throughout your college life as well as afterwards. Networking and growing your network. So networking is like, say, networking, I'm not saying like go and like reach out to random strangers, but Meher, so his network, he's willing to share his network with you. Talk with people who are ahead of your class, means who graduated and are now in college, and then they will have job ahead of you. So make sure that you are reaching out to people. Don't be afraid. At the most, they might not they might not get back. You're not going to be any worse off than you are today, but do not like let that stand in the way of you reaching out to people. Okay, so now, as I said, I'm the co-founder of Cybersecure, of a not-for-profit step up skill, and we are having the cybersecurity careers bootcamp. If you've not registered for it, reach out to Meher and he will provide you with the details. The cybersecurity bootcamp is 1.5 hours every day, starts from Monday to Friday, that is the 11th to the 15th. Do join us. I'd love to have you there. And Meher, now we are open for questions, and let's connect on LinkedIn. Please send me a LinkedIn invite if you have a LinkedIn account.
Yeah, let's see if we have any questions. If anyone has any questions, by the way, feel free to put them either in the Q&A or in the question, with the question symbol for your question so far. We haven't had any comments come throughout your presentation, but we'll see if any come at the end. Okay. Someone's asking about the boot camp information. Let me see. I have that saved somewhere. All right. Let's see. All right. Yeah, I found it. So that should be for the boot camp. If any of you guys want to register, which I highly recommend registering, going to be a great program. You're going to learn a lot about cybersecurity. So if you're interested in cybersecurity or you just want to learn more about it, because it's obviously going to play a role in a lot of different industries, like Melissa talked about, I would highly recommend joining that.
And this was just a primer. So today what we did in 1 hour, obviously we cannot cover everything, but so this was just a primer. We will go in different, in much more details. There are going to be different speakers who I've invited who are going to walk you through what they do, and you can ask questions. It's going to be very interactive and fun.
Yeah. Same page not found. Oh, 1 second. It might have been shortened. Oh, because I had the link shortened.
Okay. So let me show them how to go. 1 second.
Yeah, you can share your screen.
I'll just provide them with the.
Yeah.
Okay, click on bootcamp and use that coupon code that Meher has provided you. Once you go into the step up skill, there is a bootcamp 2022. Click on that and use the coupon code so that you can join for free. Okay, Meher, if there are no questions, thank you so much. And thank you so much for everything that you do, Meher. And I'm so sorry about this camera stuff. I'm really frustrated because I was like testing it out and everything. I don't know what happened.
Yeah, technology always happens like that, especially with these call software.
I am so happy I uploaded my slides ahead of time and that worked out well.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
And for everyone here, if you want, we can head over to the webinar with the alumni alumni panel, and just wait a few minutes for that. Actually, you can only take a few minutes break. The link for that webinar should be with you guys, and it'll start at 2 p.m. So you have around 5 or 6 minutes. And if you head over to there, then once that starts, we'll get to talk with me and a few other my fellow alumni at Georgia Tech. So I'll see you guys there. Thank you.